This week, we're going to be replacing the entire floor on this near 50-year-old Jeep. This is my 1977 Jeep CJ-7 that over the last few months, we've been trying to get it roadworthy. First, it was a complete rebuild of the power plant, a 304 cubic inch AMC V8. Now, the only thing keeping this Jeep from hitting the road is half a century of rust accumulation on the inside, and it's pretty bad. Let's check it out. Start on the driver's side here so I can kind of cut my teeth doing this. I've never done anything like this before. I think it went pretty well. Got everything seam sealed, welded in. So this side's completely done and it's nice and solid. Been working on the passenger side and it's a lot of back and forth. Cutting them out, cutting out the old floor, all the rust. But I got a pretty good fitment going now. Now luckily my old floor was pretty rusty and rotted through. So a lot of these spot welds came up really easily. Like this one just broke off. This one I just had to cut around. There is at least one right there, maybe one right there. But once you cut those off and cut the perimeter, the floor pops right out, very easy. This C-channel is not factory. That was done before to kind of brace the floor since it was so rotted out. Now that we got the panels fitted somewhat right, I'm gonna go around and grind all the edges, get ready for the welding. Vacuum all this up, clean it up. Went ahead and welded in a nut here and put in a bolt for that body mount, which attaches the frame. Then I hit the perimeter of everything with the flap disc to get it down to bare metal. That way we have a solid spot to weld to. Then I cleaned it, wiped it down with some brake clean. Also, same deal on the panels. Hit the perimeter with the flap disc down to bare metal. Cleaned them off for this brace that comes down right here in the front. These holes weren't here. I actually drilled them. That way I could pull up a weld in there and get it attached to that. That is one extra thing I did. One more thing, I got some weld through primer here and that's gonna get sprayed on all these edges. Just in case the metal overlaps, rust won't form in the sandwich. And especially back here where I'm just covering this whole plate, that's gonna get weld through primer along with the edge. Running into a lot of Bondo, but that's all right. It's pretty solid. I mean, like I've talked about before, if you wanted to 100% restore this Jeep, you would just need a new tub. So we're just hacking it together, get it solid and ready for the road. All that gray you're seeing is that weld through primer. And tack it up. Now the back piece gets shaped in here. Both panels are tacked in, so now what I do is just come around and lay a bunch of tacks, keep going round and round. Try not to stay in one spot so it gets too hot and then burns through, so just keep moving around. Got a lot done, and I did a bunch of grinding on what I could. But I ran out of wire. So front is pretty much done. Don't judge me on my welds, judge me on my grinds. Maybe not. It looks all right though. Got everything welded up and ground down all around on the passenger side, with the exception of this back corner, which I'm gonna wait until this transition piece is off and the tubs are off and I get that little triangle corner support out, then I can finish up that corner. I didn't bother grinding down these corner beads. There's not really any point since we're doing seam sealer. Pretty solid. I'm happy with it. Clean everything up real quick. Ran out of wheelbarrow paint, so we got a substitute. Protective enamel. And I'm just gonna spray this down before we put on our seam sealer. Got her painted up. We're gonna let that dry for a little bit and then we'll come around, hit it with the seam sealer. We're actually gonna scuff it up a little bit. That way it has something to stick to. Paint's all dry. And then I went around the edges with this 320 grit, scuffed it up. And the only reason we painted it is because the instructions on the seam sealer here say no bare metal. So that's why I painted it. Speaking of which, here's the stuff I got. This is just right off the shelf in advance. So when you lay it in there, that's what it looks like. And then I'll come through and just spread everything out with my finger and get it looking nice. Got her all laid in there. That wraps up the front passenger area. Addressing how it looks real quick. I'm not too concerned how it looks. It's going to get painted over top of this, and then bed lined, and then probably carpeted too. All we're after is structure, and we have it now. Nice solid floors. So for the back, we'll start on that tomorrow. This needs 24 hours to cure. All right, we're back, and the seam sealer is cured. Good to go. Now we're gonna tackle the back, which is gonna be a little bit more different of an animal. So for the front, I was able to do like one piece at a time, no problem. But for the back, we have each wheel tub, the floor itself, and then the waterfall transition panel. Since they all kind of integrate into each other, you can't really do one at a time. So I can't just replace both the tubs because you have to weld it to the floor, and I can't really do just the waterfall because you have to weld it to this floor and then the top floor. And then I can't just start with the floor because it welds to the tubs and to the waterfall. You get it. We got to do everything at once. First order of business is going to be cutting these tubs out. They're not doing much anyway. They are full of holes, especially on this side, all kinds of holes. And then here on the back side of that waterfall, you can just see how rough that is. Now, one interesting thing about the cargo floor is it's not just a piece of sheet metal. It actually has some bracing built into it, and two of the body mounts actually screw into it. Go up underneath here. So you can see we got a body mount here going into that floor, and then another one right here, which is actually a good thing. Since this cross member is here, we can actually bolt the floor down without welding anything, line up the holes for the body mounts, and that'll be our base. And then you can see back here, there is another cross member right here, and this one's solid. We just have to surgically separate the cargo floor from this rear cross member. Let's get cutting these tubs out. Woo! All right. Well, that's a start. After cutting that wheel tub out, I realized how flimsy this side is and how easy it can move around. This morning I ran out and grabbed some 1/8" angle iron, and we're gonna lay it across like this. Just tack it in place just to make sure the sides stay where they're at, and then we can go ham cutting everything out. Go. Now we can continue cutting without worrying about the sides falling out. The back half is completely cut out now. I'll be honest with you guys, this was not done in a day. I've been chipping away at it like the last several weeks, just an hour or two here and there, but we got her done. Honestly though, it was not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Since we already had a little bit of rust going, the spot welds actually came off pretty easy. You can see in some spots we still have remnants of the spot welds that we'll have to grind off. A couple interesting discoveries. This back corner was not welded in at all. It was just kind of schmutzed in there with some goop. So no spot welds to clean back here. And then on the passenger side, same thing, some spot welds still left over we have to grind down. But this panel was patched at some point. So what you can see here is the original metal. And then all this gray right here. I thought it was Bondo at first, but that's actually metal from a patch panel. So they just double layered it, which was the case on a lot of it. Actually, even on the front floorboards, that was doubled up in a lot of spots. The wheel tubs were doubled up a lot. We're making some real solid progress. On the back cross member here, there was a thick piece of steel. Took forever to cut through that. We did get it out. Two other things I found. We're missing a shock nut on the top over yonder. And right here, we have a sizable frame hole. I'm gonna go ahead and farm fix this quick using some of this thick steel. I actually already cut out the piece. We'll grind down all them edges, slide that guy in there and weld it in real good, and that'll be good enough. Next on the list is clean up all those spot welds I was talking about, get ready for the new panels. We'll go ahead and set them in there, get a test fit going, make sure we can get our body mount bolts into that cargo pan. We'll get that secured, and then we'll kind of build the tubs and the waterfall off of the floor. Got her cleaned up the best I could. Welded in solid, looks good. That actually turned out a lot better than I thought it would. Frame will live on, and it's been patched before. On this shock stud, snug down while we have access. This side has a small hole, but whew. Ground down all those high spots and got rid of the rest of the spot welds, so we have pretty much a smooth surface around the whole perimeter. Got all the remaining pieces test fitted. It's looking pretty good, pretty promising. There is one thing though with this waterfall panel. It needs to move forward a couple inches. Fenders are pretty much where they're going to be sitting. They actually tucked into the corner really nicely on both sides. And you can see that this waterfall needs to come forward a few inches. There are these gussets welded in here. I don't think they're factory. As luck would have it, we have a YJ in the shop today. So we can reference, the tubs should be identical between a CJ and a YJ. And they don't have the gussets. So I'm gonna end up removing those. Now since these tubs are sitting pretty much where they're gonna be, I traced the line on that gusset so we know just how much material we need to take off, or at least give us a rough idea. So it's looking like I'm gonna try and get this waterfall piece in first, just because of how it needs to be mounted with the lips facing inward. I'm gonna have to access it from this side before the cargo floor is in. I've been trying to get this thing to fit. I've been going back and forth taking measurements, and this passenger side keeps ending up like 1 inch higher than the driver's side. Couldn't figure it out. Then I started looking. There is a wooden spacer right here on top of the body mount on this side only. It's not on the driver's side. I don't know what that's all about. I don't know if that's something my dad did back in the day or what. Found a lot of Bondo too. Pop that out quick. Cool. That thing is fitting real nice. Check it out. Here's one of the tubs, and it measures 42.5 inches from the very back to this front lip. If we take a look here, butt that up against the back of the body. So we're right there at 42.5 on the waterfall. From our angle iron, we got 16.5 inches. Pretty close, 16.5, good enough, 42.5. That there is pretty much where that waterfall piece is gonna end up staying. And then from here, we can grab a measurement from the waterfall to this cross member. 22.5 inches to the body mounts, which are centered on this cross member. Pull a measurement from the front where it's going to meet the waterfall to where that body mount goes. Just about 22.5. So I'm going to mount this up. Woo! We're in good shape. So you can see these protrusions right here on the floor. That's where the body mount threads into. And then this tab right here, that's the cross member. And as you can see, they line up pretty good. The front fitment is coming together excellent. So that lip just comes right over the waterfall, and then these two pieces meet really nicely right here. And I double checked the measurements were still good from front to back and height. So I'm gonna get the cargo floor out of here and we'll get this waterfall tacked in. I got the Jeep part of things all ground down to bare metal and then hit it with a coat of weld through primer. For the waterfall itself, we're gonna be doing what's called a plug weld. So I drilled a bunch of 5/16 holes. This is the bottom side that's gonna be touching the floor pan. And since it's going to be metal on metal touching, I did some primer on here as well. Each of these holes, we're going to lay a little tack in there. And probably for good measure, I'll do a little stitch weld along the front here, even though that's not how it was factory. So I'm going to tack it in real quick. Just tack it in a couple spots. We'll remeasure, and then we'll go to town. Waterfall is tacked in and solid, and I double checked the measurements held true. On the back side, I was able to use most of the holes and then did a couple stitch welds on the back. Cargo floor, I got measured and cut down the size. Fits pretty good. Ground down the rear support here. That's ready to weld, drop into place. And then up front, ground down all these spots where we're gonna be welding, and then here on the waterfall where everything meets. Laid down some weld through primer, we're good to go. I'm gonna drop in the top half of our body mounts here. Now we can lower the floor down into place and run some bolts. All right, cool. We're underneath the Jeep here. I got both mounts started, which is a good sign. I popped the wheel tubs in real quick, and they're lining up really good with where they're supposed to be, with the exception of this driver's side. Now I think when we take off the angle iron, we'll be able to pull the bed side in a little bit and get that to straighten out. The front popped in fine. That's all lining up real good, but the back needs to come in a little bit. But the whole reason for putting the wheel tubs in is to make sure the floor is centered and where it needs to be. And that it is. We got a good gap on the passenger side tub, same with the driver's side. So we'll start tacking in the floor, just a couple in the back, a couple in the front, pull the tubs out, we'll be on our way. Moving right along, floor tacked in. Now, I have a feeling these tubs are gonna be in and out a lot. I'm gonna cut off the pieces of angle iron like I talked about, get some flexibility out of the body. I did go ahead and mark with Sharpie where I'm gonna drill holes to do plug welds. So this flange, that flange, and then this will probably end up just being we'll probably just lay a bead in here because there is a lip on it, but to get in there and try and weld would be interesting. We can tackle that later. Another day. The driver's side tub is pretty much done. Taking off the angle iron definitely helped with some flexibility, and I did put the door in to kind of determine where this piece of the body needed to be. So now the door lines up really good. Closes. A couple notes about the fitment here. There you can see our plug welds real good, and then tacked it in a bunch of different spots. And then I did 4 plug welds right here to go to the cargo floor. Now, as you can see, the cargo floor and the tub don't parallel each other like I thought they would. I actually had to modify the tub a little bit and notch it out right here. So I took an inch off the bottom of the tub, just at the back there, to clear this rear cross member and drop everything down an inch. Because when I had sat this in here before, the tub was going this way and the body line was flat. And those need to be parallel so the roll bar doesn't look stupid. Since the roll bar goes straight up and down, if the tub was leaned forward, so would the roll bar. And that would look dumb. Doing that 1-inch notch, dropped it down just enough to get everything level. I'm gonna have to do the same thing on the passenger side, but everything is lining up real good. The gap is nice and tight along the body, and the floor to the tub, no gaps there, which is good. So now the only thing left is the passenger side. I'm gonna have to modify it the same way. So we'll get started on that right now. I'll show you guys. We'll get it in place, mess around with it a little bit, take some measurements, and get it tacked in. We're up here, and it's fitting all right. Here's the deal though. The front is fitting pretty good. I got the passenger side door in here, and we're at about 4 3/4, which is perfect because that's about what we're at on that side. Right there, we're about 4 1/8. So I'm gonna take out about a 1/2 inch out of this bottom, like I did over here. Reinstall, and we'll see how it looks. Dropped into place. We're in good shape. 4 3/4 all the way around. Now it's just rinse and repeat of the driver's side. Gonna drill our holes for the plug welds. I made a mark with some silver Sharpie for all the places that need ground down to bare metal where we're gonna be welding. So now we're ready to prep. Got one little tack holding it in at the front corner there. Now, I almost tacked in the back by holding this down like that, but then it kind of pulls it away from the cargo floor. So I think my next set of welds, I'm gonna come through here and pinch this with some clamps and then do my plug welds right here. That way this is definitely up against the cargo floor, and then we can finish up. This tub is tacked in. The measurements are still holding out about 4 3/4 all around. Every corner looks good. And the plug welds down here came out real good. So we're pretty solid. The door on this side closes real nice. What that means is now I have a ton of welding to do. Let's get to it. Well, I can officially say that all the welding is now done. Completely. After I made a bunch of passes getting everything tacked in, I went ahead and every couple inches did like a little stitch weld like that, and I had to add some extra pieces in a couple places. This is where it was doubled up, so that was just to make it a little bit stronger. And again, just stitched it. Another one of those patches there, but I'm really happy with how it's turning out. Here's the front, looks good. And luckily there wasn't a whole lot of grinding to do, pretty much just right here and in front of the tubs. Everything else is in a corner, and it's gonna get seam sealed, so there's really no point grinding it. Amateur. What? How do I get in here? Got a lot of vacuuming to do and cleaning up. That way we can throw down some primer before we do our seam sealer. Get to cleaning. Now only the parts getting seam sealer are getting the wipe down treatment for now. Everything's painted up that needed painting. Now let that dry for a few minutes and we'll hit it with some seam sealer. Went around and got everything coated with seam sealer. Now we just gotta let it cure. But we got her done. Complete new floors in the CJ-7. So finally, after many weeks of work, we can wrap up this video. It is all done. Stay tuned for the next CJ video. We're gonna be putting everything back together, fresh coat of black paint on all the floors, putting in carpet, installing the seats, putting the fenders back together, getting everything hooked up. I already have it registered and insured, so we are ready to hit the road for the first time in about 5 or 6 years legally. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Take it easy. I'll see you in the next one.